In this video, me and ex-professional Yanto Barker are going to guide you on how to dress for warm weather. Now, in the UK, that's usually like one day a year, but it's okay because we've come to Spain.
Yes, first thing you need to think about, I think, is your jersey. Short sleeve jerseys for when the sun's out. A couple of things to consider, I think, to begin with. One, a full zip. This is something that gives you a lot more flexibility with warmth and being able to do up and do down, depending on whether you're going up the climbs or down the descents. Also things like fabric, you want quite a light fabric. When you print onto fabric, it kind of tightens the weave, so you want to make sure there's still good airflow. These are all things that you've got to kind of think about when you're picking your jersey.
There are jerseys that are specifically designed for spring and winter, and they can still have short sleeves. So if you're buying online, make sure that you're not getting something that's warmer, because the fabrics can be like this and they're sort of fleece lined, and yeah, it's not going to be very comfortable on a hot day.
Other small details are things like lockdown zips. I personally don't like rattling, and also zip guards to stop any irritation on your neck if you're doing your zip right up to the top. Little details that you probably wouldn't find so much on the lower price points, but when you start getting up into better quality kits, they're details that really do make a difference and enhance your experience.
Temperature can be quite personal, but for me, up until about 30 degrees Celsius, a normal jersey like this is absolutely fine for comfort. But on the hottest of days, you can get real hot weather specific jerseys, such as this one, which is sort of made from a really light mesh. So
yeah, this is called an air jersey, which obviously is designed to let as much air in as possible. You can probably even see through how light the fabric is. Also, it doesn't absorb as much sweat or moisture, so it's lighter. And if you're really focused on performance, then you won't be carrying so much weight. Also, definitely worth mentioning to be cautious of, you need, if you're not wearing an undervest, to wear sun tan lotion underneath this jersey, otherwise you will end up looking a little bit burnt.
So the next key item for warm weather riding is your short choice. And like jerseys, there are hot weather specific shorts as well, aren't there?
Yeah. They're a bit less common, quite often used by pros. You might have seen them with the perforated fabric around the side of the leg. Very important to recognise that you don't want too light fabric, lightweight fabric, because if you've got lightweight fabric, you get a cleavage look from behind, which is not good for whoever you're riding with. But yes, they do exist, but generally a standard plain black short with a good grade lycra is something that will do the job for almost all temperatures. If you're the sort of rider who can do 90 miles but you don't get the time to do that regularly, then actually you want to invest in a slightly bigger pad that just gives you that extra support. Whereas if you're one of those guys who's doing maybe 3, 4, 5 rides a week, if you're lucky, then you can get away with a slightly thinner pad. They'll both be good quality, but one is thicker with extra, kind of insulation against the wear and riding friction, and others are much better with slightly thinner for the racier type riding style.
And the one thing we would strongly advise against is white shorts.
Yeah, white shorts are always a bit of a challenge. One, they are see-through very quickly, even if they're excellent lycra, and two, if you go through any puddles or kind of streams or anything, you get that spray. And then again, you've got a white pair of shorts with just a brown.
Yeah, literally exactly. A skid mark.
And unless your name's Adam Blythe or Alexander Kristoff, then I think
it's quite hard to pull off.
Yeah, very, very difficult. Yeah, the next bit of kit is a base layer, and we do recommend that you wear one pretty much all the time, apart from the hottest days. There's a number of reasons. One, it adds a wicking layer, which, while jerseys do wick, it actually works better with 2 layers. There's also a safety element. I don't know if you've ever crashed, but basically if you do fall off, and it does happen occasionally, if you've got an extra layer, then there's a friction dissipation between the 2 layers, which generally saves your skin a little bit. There are differences between weights and everything, so that's something to take into consideration, and also whether you ride sleeveless or short sleeves. I know you've got a preference.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of sleeveless base layers for summer. It's mainly a comfort thing, so when you've got a sleeved base layer on, it can sometimes, the fabric can get a little bit irritating under your arm, especially if you're wearing it a long day, over a long ride. And so just not having that, I find it more comfortable.
And how important is it for the base layer to match your sunglasses?
Well, that's advanced technique.
Yeah.
That's...
When you get to stage level 9 and 10, this is the level of consideration.
Coordination. One final thing to say about base layers, I think a lot of beginner riders, I see them wearing just normal t-shirts, thinking that that's fine as a base layer, but I mean, a cotton t-shirt is just nowhere near as effective at wicking sweat, is it?
I mean, it's not effective at all at anything, and you should stay away from it. You're better off wearing no base layer at all. Cotton will just absorb the moisture. It will give you a stay next to the skin, and it will give you a chill. And these are things that genuinely will make a difference on how healthy you can stay while you're exercising, and also just the comfort level. I mean, it's horrible having that kind of moisture next to your skin. So yeah, don't do cotton base layers or t-shirts.
The next piece of key riding equipment that you need to consider is your helmet. Now, most mid-tier and entry-level helmets feature a large amount of ventilation, but some more premium helmets can be aero-specific, and that comes at the expense of ventilation.
Yeah, I think unless you're looking for the last couple of seconds on your local chain gang and trying to just push that boundary a little bit, then stick with a mid-range that is a versatile helmet that will cover both, you know, most of winter riding, and also if you're coming abroad and you're going to go riding in the sun and the hot weather, you know, it does get a bit uncomfortable if you haven't got the right amount of ventilation when you start going up some bigger climbs.
Another great feature is a helmet that has holes that you can fit your sunglasses in.
You do need to stay prepared because weather can change and temperatures can change as well, especially for things like if you're going up to altitude, like over 1,000 meters, it can get very cold even if it's really nice and warm at sea level. Obviously, wind and rain blowing in depending on what the weather forecast said, and I do recommend that you check it just to make sure. And then after that, there's a number of different stages of what type of preparation. So generally a light gilet is something that is standard, will keep your core warm. You can go to a slightly heavier gilet, you can then go to a long sleeve, and you can then go to something which is a much more serious piece of kit.
A hard shell jacket like this can still fit in your jersey pocket, but it'll just absolutely be a lifeline if the weather turns.
I've been out plenty of times and had that in my pocket. I've been very grateful. Normally it's not that warm to start with, so the temperature range is rare that it actually goes from, you know, 23, 24 degrees where you're in shorts and jersey down to maybe less than 10 where you'd want to wear something like that. But it does happen.
Also, I think it's worth pointing out that there's so much excellent cycling kit out there. There's no reason to be uncomfortable at any point in your ride. This morning, it was a little bit chilly.
Yeah.
So if I had been setting out first thing, I probably would have taken some arm warmers just to keep me a little bit more comfortable, and then taken them off once it's got warmer. And they're really easy to just stuff in a jersey pocket. So
yeah, arm warmers and knee warmers are really easy to either go out wearing and take off, or take with you and put them on halfway around if you need to. So
they're also really useful if you happen to be going to an 80s disco later on as well. So they're the main bits of kit. But some other accessories that are worth thinking about are gloves. Now, I personally don't tend to wear mitts much, but mitts are pretty useful because they sort of stop your hands getting sore rubbing on the bars if you're holding them tightly, but also they can be useful at stopping your back of your palms getting sunburn as well.
yeah, and they're another bit of kit to match to your jersey colour,
Yeah.
which is always something I like. Yeah, there's also the protective factor. If you do come off, then you're pretty much always going to put your hands down, so having something to protect them is always really useful.
And what about a hat?
Yeah,
We're not wearing
I
them.
think, well, hats are good. You know, again, there's a lot of heat lost through your head, so if you do get to a cold section and you've got one in your pocket, you can stick it under your helmet, and it can be really, really useful.
People who have less hair can get sunburnt through the gaps in their helmet.
The other thing I think as well is glasses, not just for putting on your helmet, but, you know, dust and sand and anything else that you come across gets in your eyes and can be really painful, and actually can be quite dangerous if you're going fast at the time.
Glasses are absolutely essential item in like all cycling conditions, really. So hopefully these tips have been useful for you, but ultimately we all run at slightly different temperatures. So there's a certain amount of trial and error that we'd recommend you do to experience, you know, what works best for you.
Yeah, things to take into consideration are your personal temperature, also whether you're riding in a group or on your own, how hard and how fast. Sometimes in a group when you're on a wheel, you're just not pushing in the same effort, but you're still getting the wind chill. And also if you're going out and you've only got an hour or 45 minutes and you push on all the way, then generally you're going to produce a lot more heat. So just think about those things as well when you're getting dressed in the morning.
Yeah, and one of the best examples is like we're in Spain right now and it's about 18 degrees and we'll be wearing short sleeves and shorts, but then you'll see a local Spanish rider and they'll be full on like Arctic warfare, wearing every bit of kit that they own.
Their perception of temperature is very different to our British one.
Yeah, definitely. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. And if you did, why not consider subscribing to the Cycling Weekly YouTube channel? as this will help us to continue make better content in the future. But now, me and Yanto, we're going to go for a ride. Yeah, I just got distracted by the naked dude.
What? I didn't even see him. You need to focus,
Yeah,
Ollie.
just kind of. He just wandered into my eye line. There goes the naked dude.